Fascism, from an anti-fascist point of view, has been a lifelong special interest of mine. From movies and comic books as a kid, Sergeant Rock, to Hell and Back. I thought America was close to crypto-fascism as it was, when I was a young man. And I didn't think that it would ever be full-blown in my lifetime because of, just how close it was anyway. But of course, the icy wind of totalitarianism is blowing. No wonder that as this storm was building throughout my life, I became a philosophical pessimist. Indeed, if you haven't become more pessimistic and misanthropic over the last 10 years as our media have failed us, well, then you're probably a fascist yourself. But for those of us who have read about the history and methodology of fascism, it is incredible how the consistencies of fascism continue even into modernity in a quite different environment. Fascism is always the same. Fascism doesn't change because it's based on very old methods of criminal rule and based on even older primitive instincts of the human mind. I spoke of loyalty being a core value in fascism in my Cruel Summer video, and it is. And fascism doesn't have many core values, but it's never loyalty to an abstract ideal such as democracy or truth. It's always loyalty to a flawed human being, as we are all flawed, a cult of personality to a leader or a Führer. And the only benefits of that accrue to the dictator or his elite power circle in this white bread pyramid scheme. Other core values of fascism: militarism, traditionalism, toxic masculinity, and most importantly and ferociously, anti-intellectualism. Ideas that belong to the Dark Ages are some of the other core values. People with authoritarian personalities are the most fanatical supporters of fascism. The U.S. has more authoritarian personalities than anywhere in the world. According to very good studies, they show that 25.6% of the American population has an authoritarian personality, 2.5 times that of the UK, 4 times the percentage of Germany. It must be remembered that this country was founded in large part by radical, cultish fundamentalists who couldn't get along with anybody else and who were extreme and came here. Perhaps no other country has that kind of legacy. People who are anti-intellectual in their thinking, black and white thinking, with low theory of mind, low reading levels, are also attracted to fascism. And the U.S. again is leading in the production of those people. Although frequently they overlap, many people with ADD are just dragged along into fascist ideas because they can't think things through very far. After all, you have to have cast iron, black and white, rigid thinking and irrational disgust sensitivities going on to be able to think that transgender people are such a threat we should throw the country into totalitarianism. But anyway, that's why the Nazis are back, that perfect storm of personality disorders. Authoritarian personalities turn to fascism partly because they are very insecure and fearful, and they need a daddy to protect them. They are predisposed to be submissive to power, and they believe that might makes right, and that will leave them protected. And partly because they genuinely can't really think for themselves. You could argue that the Trumpist fascism has already destroyed more families than other forms of fascism, as the cultist Trump fanatics turn on their own family members. I wouldn't say you should stop talking to your cultish family members unless they all also are malignant narcissists or authoritarian personalities, like their Führer himself, Trump. In which case, they'll turn on you first, so you may not have to make that choice. Now, I view myself as a realist and a moderate, but I would remind people that moderation in the pursuit of justice is no virtue, as Goldwater said. And that also the Overton window has been moved, shattered by the billionaire propaganda and the fascist propaganda. And they're now dangling this whole country out that goddamn Overton window. I am frequently reminded of Shearer's The Nightmare Years. William R. Shearer, one of the leading recorders of the Nazi Third Reich, with his book The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich, and The Nightmare Years, which is more a diary from the 30s, but it's a take on. He also has a diary version. Anyway, he's the most important writer on the Third Reich. There are Inside the Third Reich by Albert Speer is good. I've read others. The Tradition of Fascism by John Weiss. I need to get another copy of The Arms of Krupp. I lost it in Florida. I need a paperback version. That's the Nobel Prize winning book about the Krupp family, Krupp Steel, and their fascist influence that led to World War II. I would highly recommend that one as well. But what I was saying, the Nightmare Years, when I think about when you read that book, I don't think I need to reread it, because I think very definitely we are living in the Nightmare Years. And it's all the same. You see, when he talks about how the internal propaganda was so effective that it would warp people's minds, and they didn't know what was true anymore, and it even affected his mind somewhat. And the reason the internal propaganda is so effective is because it's a cult. It's a fascist. Fascism is a type of cult. There's mind control and influence. It's not simply propaganda. And the thing that strikes you in reading The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich is, and I read it 25 years ago, is the fact that the Nazis never said anything that was objectively true and kept getting away with it because of the cultish nature of totalitarianism. They live in their own simulated facts, repeated endlessly with brainwashing rapidity. The billionaires in the ruling class have pumped billions into propaganda and brainwashing channels, online influencers, things like Newsmax, and they control all the algorithms, which is something Hitler even never had as far as control, and people don't even realize how powerful that is. Our elections are owned by the 1%, and the corporate capture of government is total, with the lobbyists writing most of the bills. If the government is not controlled and used by the people, it will be used for the purposes of benefiting, bailing out, and socializing the losses of the rich. It's always been hard to get people to understand this, for some reason, in America with a K. But if you have subdued social instincts and you look at the world through a more abstract intellectual lens, such as with some forms of autism, you are vulnerable to the fascist groupthink. You think for yourself. You don't fall for the hateful rhetoric spewed by Newsmax or other ruling class proxies. On the other hand, if you have an authoritarian personality and autism, or your theory of mind is very, very limited, you're going to be an uber-fascist. It's very satisfying to their black and white rigidity of mind. And the macho posturing that it offers. You can see this in the incels, who are all autistic, and some of the billionaires themselves, you can see this. Don't get me wrong, being autistic and having good theory of mind has a downside of having a lot of anxiety, indecision, lack of confidence, but that's a story for another day. As long as the fascist groupthink is dominant and the truth continues to be out of style, those with intellectual integrity will be hated and hunted. So what is to be done? Well, I'm not even sure we'll be able to see the end of the American fascist tunnel. As someone pointed out, it would take a benevolent dictator to fix what Trump has broken, and that seems unlikely. Sometimes fascism burns itself out, true, but only when the country is so aggressive that it is conquered and destroyed, so not much comfort in that. I used to believe in nonviolence, Martin Luther King Jr. style, civil disobedience. But these days, any demonstration is used to justify an absolute police state and armies in this street. And also, you have fascist cops out there shooting people with grenade launchers in the head, and they have EOTech holographic sights on these grenade launchers, so you know the bastards aren't missing. It's intentional. So, and it's just insane, the amount of law enforcement agencies, and now we got the military in the street. This is a police state that it far exceeds anything Nazi Germany did internally. You'd have only like 1 or 2 Gestapo agents per town in Germany, and it's far beyond that. And the influence of the corruption of the culture, you could also say, has probably gone farther than the Nazis had gone in the first few months of the regime. So I don't know if we'll beat fascists, but we fight fascists not because we will win, but because they are fascists, and it's pure evil. And so I don't know where the light at the end of the tunnel is. I don't have all the answers. I would recommend that you know your Bill of Rights, the bedrock of our freedom, although they're being eroded every day. I would recommend that you arm yourself, that you get a gun, and that you practice your Second Amendment. But I certainly haven't got all the answers. And in fact, I'm going to do a more upbeat video on ammunition for 357s and shotguns. It'll be more fun than this. This has been rather dark, but anyway, death to fascism. Konnichiwa.